How's it going, everyone? This is Boots with Snapkeep Arcade, back with another standard deck guide. This week we'll be going over my favorite deck this season, Blue-White Gifts. We have a few more weeks left until Core 2019 set is released, so if you're looking for a new deck to break the staleness of mono red or blue-white control, this deck is definitely for you. The overall strategy of Blue-White Gifts is to put a God-Pharaoh's Gift and an Angel of Invention into your graveyard by turn 4, and then cast Refurbish to cheat the God-Pharaoh's Gift onto the battlefield. Eternalize the Angel of Invention, put the +1/+1 counters on the Angel, and swing with a 6/6 creature with Flying, Vigilance, Lifelink, and Haste. We can achieve this by casting enabler cards like Minister of Inquiries, Strategic Planning, and Champion of Wits. Let's break down our cards into groups and go over each group to understand how to play this deck. The first group of cards to go over are the enabler cards. Blue-White Gifts runs 4 Minister of Inquiries, 4 Champion of Wits, 4 Chart a Course, 4 Strategic Planning, 2 Search for Azcanta, and 2 Sunscourge Champion. These cards help you establish the perfect board state to cast Refurbish and run away with the game. Minister of Inquiries should be used to mill yourself with 2 activations and then act as a chump blocker once you run out of energy to buy you more time. Chart a Course and Strategic Planning are great to cast on turn 2. If I'm looking for a Refurbish, I'll cast Strategic Planning over Chart a Course because it lets me dig deeper. But if I have a card like God-Pharaoh's Gift or an Angel of Invention that I need in the graveyard, I'll cast Chart a Course instead. Either way, these cards are great for filling your graveyard. Champion of Wits is one of the best cards in the deck. By drawing 2 and discarding 2, you frequently set up your win condition just by casting Champion of Wits alone. Even though the body isn't super impressive, Champion of Wits can buy you more time as a chump blocker and can be eternalized later. Search for Azcanta is great because of the ability to put cards in your graveyard. I frequently find myself not flipping the search because of its consistent ability to put cards in my graveyard. If you need to dig for a Refurbish or for a God-Pharaoh's Gift to hardcast, it's not a bad idea to flip it at that point. Sunscourge Champion's life gain ability is great against mono red and provides a good body for blocking. But where it really shines is in its eternalize ability. Not only will it gain you 4 life, but in order to eternalize, you have to discard a card. Sunscourge Champion is great to keep in the yard in case you draw a God-Pharaoh's Gift or an Angel that you want to pitch. The ideal opening hand will let you cast a Minister of Inquiries on turn 1, a Chart a Course or Strategic Planning on turn 2, and a Champion of Wits on turn 3. This puts 10 to 11 cards in your graveyard on turn 3. The chances of there being a God-Pharaoh's Gift and a creature to target, especially an Angel of Invention, are pretty high. If you cast a Refurbish targeting God-Pharaoh's Gift on turn 4, you'll run away with the game in no time. As for removal, we run 1 Fumigate, 2 Walking Ballista, and 2 Cast Out. Walking Ballista is great against mono red because it can hit their 1 toughness creatures and is great against opposing planeswalkers. Cast Out is a catch-all for any permanent that you can't otherwise deal with. The exiling effect is really important against the gods. So, how exactly do these payoff cards work? By itself, Angel of Invention isn't super impressive. It has some great abilities, but the 2/1 body is pretty fragile. Even putting the counters on her still leaves her vulnerable to most removal in the format. However, God-Pharaoh's Gift lets you create a copy of Angel of Invention, except she's a 4/4 zombie with haste in addition to her other abilities. When she enters the battlefield, you put the 2 Fabricate counters on her and she's a 6/6 creature with Flying, Vigilance, Haste, and Lifelink. This immediately shuts down mono red, and because the creature isn't cast, control decks have a hard time countering her entrance to the field. The Angel isn't the only viable target either. Getting a 4/4 with haste every combat, with those creatures typically having very relevant enter the battlefield abilities, is something your opponent can't let go unchallenged. As for lands, we run 1 Field of Ruin, 4 Glacial Fortress, 2 Ipnu Rivulet, 3 Irrigated Farmland, 6 Island, 6 Plains, and 1 Hostile Desert. Ipnu Rivulet is made for a deck like this. You'll frequently target yourself pre-combat, hoping to hit an Angel for your God-Pharaoh's Gift. Hostile Desert is a card I recently added and have been super impressed with. You usually have tons of land in your graveyard, so this is easily activated each turn. Creature lands are great against control decks and can provide an unexpected blocker or attacker for your opponent. Let's go over some tips and tricks with the deck. Like I said before, don't be scared to chump with your creatures. Most of the time they are more useful in the graveyard than on the field. Fumigate works well in this deck because you actively want your own creatures in the graveyard. Using Fumigate pre-combat to eternalize one of your creatures off the God-Pharaoh's gift trigger is a very powerful move, especially against mono green and mid-range decks. Don't be scared to hardcast your Angel of Inventions. If you're having trouble setting up your win condition, she buffs your creatures and requires an answer from your opponent. What's great about her is they are de-incentivized from using removal on her because she is a bigger threat in the graveyard. Whenever I hardcast the Angel, I create 2 servo tokens instead of putting the counters on her because that puts more power onto the battlefield, which is what I typically need if I'm hardcasting her. When this deck first came out, people at my local game store were targeting the Eternalized tokens with Fatal Push left and right. Typically, tokens don't have a mana cost, so they are great targets for Fatal Push. But God-Pharaoh's gift creates a token that's a copy of the card, so the token carries the card's mana cost. Don't be scared of Fatal Push, and if you play against this deck, for the love of God, don't waste your pushes on these creatures. They'll only kill the Minister most of the time. Our sideboard runs 1 Fumigate, 2 Fairgrounds Warden, 2 Authority of the Consuls, 2 Jace's Defeat, 3 Negate, 3 Angel of Sanctions, and 2 Thopter Arrest. I like bringing in the Fumigate against mono green or other mid-range decks. I typically board out Fumigate in every other matchup. People tend to think it's good against mono red, but with Hazoret and Rekindling Phoenix in the deck, it often doesn't do what you need it to do even if you get to turn 5. Fairgrounds Warden is a great answer to the Scarab God, Hazoret, and even Ronas in green mid-range decks. I'll even bring Fairgrounds Warden in on the mirror as it's great against the tokens. Authority of the Consuls is primarily for mono red and black red aggro. This card slows down their deck significantly and is almost impossible to come back from when cast on turn 1. Jace's Defeat is primarily for blue-white control. This card is less effective against Esper or blue-black control, so I typically keep it in the board against those decks. However, Negate should come in against all control decks. Angel of Sanctions has been a really powerful card for me. It hits their big creatures, the gods, any enchantment-based removal, and Teferi. Thopter Arrest is great against mid-range decks and red-black aggro because it hits their vehicles and creatures. Blue-white Gifts is a great deck this season, and if you have some extra wild cards laying around, this deck is great if you're looking for something new to pass the time until Core 2019 is released. I'm especially excited to take this deck into the Dominaria Standard Festival starting on July 6th. If you like this video, please subscribe to Snapkeep Arcade and hit that bell icon to get notified whenever I upload a new video. This has been Boots with Snapkeep Arcade. Thanks for watching.